let's jump right into things here. Let's start with that December storm. As we know, some strong winds came through the area, blew a massive hole through Hangar B here. So walk us through the specific damages.
Yeah, so around midnight, we believe, on December 16th, we got a windstorm, rainstorm, and we got about a 200-foot hole, about 30 feet wide on the southern end of Hangar B.
Can you talk about a little bit about, as a result of this damage, what kind of situation that's put you guys in as it pertains to all of the folks that preside over this facility?
Yeah, so this is a multi-use space. So we have the museum, we had a cafe, we had several other businesses that are within, and because of this damage, we are looking at currently just the main safety aspects of keeping everyone safe, keeping building secure. So at this point, everything is shut down, and we have vacated all businesses within the building until we can figure out what funding looks like and next steps forward to repair the damage.
Speaking of funding, I do know, a lot of that's in the process of being figured out, but as for the repair costs, just how much maybe could that be?
Yeah, so we don't actually have any real solid numbers. The repairs for the initial damage, we're looking at, between 2 to 5 million, with the caveats for change orders or potential for more. A total re-roof of the building could be upwards of 30 to 50 million, but until we have some further assessment, we really can't suss out those numbers, and there's just a lot of moving parts involved with that.
And obviously the future is uncertain right now. There's a lot of things that are trying to be figured out and decided on. What are some of the potential options being discussed as it pertains to the future of Hangar B?
So the future looks like, at this point, we need to address the safety, the initial damage, and then more holistically, what is going on with the building. The hope is to reopen. We would like to reopen to the public. However, we don't know what that looks like at this time. It could be 9 months, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. We don't. Until the funding comes through, the port does not have funding to move forward with that. So the port is fully in support of fixing the building. However, we're looking at how do we get that money to go forward.
Let me ask you this, would it be safe to operate without a total rebuild? I know you guys are doing everything you can to save it. Would it be safe to operate without a total rebuild, without spending all those millions of dollars?
Potentially, but we need those assessments to be done. The last structural assessment was done in 2022, which was done through grant funding. It was very safe at that time. However, with this current storm damage, I think it is in our best interest to again do another study before reopening to the public.
Gotcha. And like we said, we're in this interim period where we're trying to figure things out. What's the timeline here? Is there any deadlines you guys are looking at? Are you guys having to make decisions by a certain date? What's that looking like right now?
There are no current deadlines. It's all very fluid, but we are working around the clock just to figure out what that funding might look like for any of that. We've met with several different companies that have worked on these type of buildings to try and look at what that phasing to the future is. So safety, fix the hole, and then next step forwards to address whether it is safe or not.
Gotcha. How tall is the ceiling here?
192 feet tall.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. I do know there are some things that are potentially making this repair even more costly. We kind of talked about this a little bit. You can obviously touch on what you're comfortable with here, but as it pertains to some of that asbestos that may have been found on some of the fallen pieces, can you just speak on how some things like that are further complicating, how much this could be? Yeah,
so that's one issue that could complicate a repair and cost more. Logistically, the building itself is just really hard. Getting people, getting material, all of the things up there safely is the hardest part. As far as asbestos, we do know that there is some on the building. We don't know the extent of that yet, so that is it's a complication we're going to have to look at as we do further assessment of the roof and the building.
And obviously there's a sentiment that you were speaking to that sometimes people want that people want this here,
yeah,
but they don't understand the totality until it gets to a point where it's like this, where hey, now we're at a situation where we are looking at an uncertain future here. So explain for people just how how meaningful this building is, and just how much of a potentially dire situation you guys are in.
Yeah, I mean, the Tillamook Air Museum and Hangar B, they're a landscape. I mean, it's part of Tillamook County. There are people who have been here for 5 generations that have a history with this, not only with the building of it, the farmland around it, or the mills that have operated alongside it for a long time. And I think that the museum has really brought in that local aspect. We're important locally, regionally, and even nationally. We've been flooded with sentiment and regard to wanting to fix the hangar over the last few weeks, and we all knew that being here. However, it really has made it that much more important to help get this landscape and this landmark back to repair and operations so that people can enjoy it.
I do know you're helping spearhead a fundraiser that's going on right now on GoFundMe. Speak about where that money, speak about how people can contribute and where that money will go toward.
Yeah, so you can go to our direct website, TillamooKair.com, and we have a fundraising earmarked there. But also the Friends of the Tillamook Air Museum, which is a 501c3 nonprofit we work closely with, has a GoFundMe, Save Hangar B, where they're looking towards money. So all of those funds go towards anything in regards to the repair of the building and then a future to keep the building standing.
Gotcha. Does that include like a study to understand the totality of the damage here?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Speak personally to what Hangar B and this historic landmark means to Rita.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here about 8 years. It's kind of, you get jaded. Like, I walk around in F-14 every day, and I'm like, that's normal. It'll be really sad to see it go away. I am not an airplane buff, but over the years I've learned a whole lot, and I don't know that I would want to be able to see it not be here, not be able to tell my grandkids or my nieces and nephews about the building. We already lost Hangar A, and it would be really sad to lose Hangar B.
How did you feel when you first saw, or when you first heard about the damage, and then when you walked in and saw it? Like, what were you?
I got a call at about 6 a.m. And I went, oh, great. It was pouring rain, so it was basically like a waterfall through the hole, and my mind just started turning. Like, I have to call all of my staff. I have to like let everybody know what's going on. It was, you're not prepared for that.
And just physically speaking, it looks small from back here, but how big of a hole are we talking about?
It's about 200 feet long and about 30 feet wide. So yes, the building or any photos of it really dwarfs it. However, it's quite a massive hole. If that were to happen to your roof, it would probably be substantial damage.
And are we, the type of damage we're looking at, is that mostly exterior sheeting, or is it actual structural timbers that were ripped off too? Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so it appears to be very cosmetic by any of the drone footage that we have. So as far as repairing that hole would just be resheeting and putting it back. However, we are not sure of continual damage. It's all coming along one seam, but the structure itself appears to be in really good shape.
Nuts and bolts numbers, what's your visitation like, during the year, or even just on an average week? How many people are coming through the door?
Yeah, so we're the second most visited place in the county to the creamery. We see nowhere near their numbers. However, we see about 50,000 people a year. So high season from March through October, and then it does kind of dwindle in the winter. But yeah, we see a lot of people. So we bring a lot of people into the area, and then in more recent years we bring more people just based on the more interactive. It's not a traditional museum. There's a lot of being able to play in the cockpits, go through exhibits. You're not stuck behind red tape. So that visitation is growing.
And real quick, based off some of your projections and what you've been able to bring in over the last couple of years, right? It's around 150,000 or something like that annually. Am I along the line?
Yeah. So after all of the bills are paid,
right,
we bring in about 150.
Just speak to how that 150,000 would be nowhere near enough to cover what you guys are staring down right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at, if we continue to bring in 150,000 after we pay all of staff and all of the bills, we're looking at 25 years to even fix that hole. So, yeah, So there's a big price tag. Big buildings, big price tags.
And fixing the hull doesn't necessarily fix a future issue
Yes.
too, right? Like big picture wise, that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, fixing the hole is definitely pertinent. However, that doesn't give us the holistic view of what the building needs into the future.
So in other words, it's like, hey, fixing the hole is just one piece of the puzzle, but addressing the aging structure as a whole.
Yeah.
That's the rest of it, right?
That is the more important question. We could fix that and keep it around for another 5-10 years, or we could deal with the entirety of the building and keep it around for another 80.
We'll start with this. How long has this hangar been here?
So this hangar has been here since August of 1943 is when it was actually completed.
How many aircraft are in this hangar?
A little over 24 aircraft in the museum's collection.
What is the most noteworthy piece that's part of the collection?
Well, for me as the curator, that's a difficult question to answer. It's almost like asking you to choose between your kids. But a couple of the ones that really stand in mind is the F-14 Tomcat, which is positioned behind me here, which was in the movie Top Gun back in 1986, one of 3 aircraft from the filming of the movie. So that's probably one of the most iconic aircraft in the collection. We also have the AV-8B Harrier II, which we just received on loan from the Navy back in August, that flew in excess of 80 missions for the United States during the War on Terror. We also have a B-52 cockpit that flew 14 missions during the First Gulf War, and then also flew missions during the Vietnam War. And then we also have an A-7 Corsair II that flew 39 missions in the First Gulf War. So these aircraft all have magnificent histories associated with them.
Plenty have made their way here, but I'm sure others across the state may have not made their way here yet. So it may not understand just how historic this museum is. So if it were to close, can you speak to the totality of what we'd be losing and how big of a deal that would be?
Sure. Well, it's not only a part of Tillamook County's history, it's a part of our nation's history. And if we were to lose that, we'd lose something that is irreplaceable. And we've really been developing this museum these past several years, and it's a wonderful family friendly experience. We really work to develop hands-on, interactive, engaging exhibits that are fun for everybody in the family. We get a lot of people that come in that think, maybe it's a guy's thing, or it's only for aircraft aficionados, but it's not that at all. There's exhibits for women and the role that women played in the Second World War and beyond. It's a fun place for kids to come, and especially for young children, a lot of education happens while at play. We have the ability for young children to do that. So it's fun for everybody out here. And it's very important for us to be welcoming to everyone out here at the museum. And we love it for that, because everybody has fun out here. So whether it's sitting in aircraft cockpits, being able to walk up to aircraft, the floors aren't spit and polished the way a lot of other museums are. Most of the aircraft you'll see behind me here don't have velvet ropes behind them, so we actually like to have people engage with the exhibits, walk up to the aircraft, and be one with the airplanes, and interact with history in that way.
Speaking from a personal perspective here, Christian, what does Hangar B mean to you?
To me, it's a gargantuan representation of where we came from as a country, and for me to walk in here that morning of December the 17th and see such a massive hole, which is absolutely tragic. And now that we're closed indefinitely, not allow visitors to come into the museum now, it's just absolutely heartbreaking, because we have worked so hard and so diligently on expanding the aircraft collection and expanding the exhibit collection and making it a fun, friendly experience for everybody. And not to allow people in here now, it absolutely breaks my heart.
And then you can think of, just from a historical perspective about this place that we're not touching on, any additional thoughts that you want to provide for us?
So this hangar was meant to protect the West Coast from Japanese submarines during the Second World War. So the airships that were originally stationed here would patrol up and down the Washington, Oregon, California coast during the war. And it was meant to protect the population now. And I think it's very, very important that we come together as a community, as a state, and as a country to work to protect this historic structure now, the way it protected us.
You know, a lot of museums, when they talk about their macro exhibits, they might be referring to an aircraft. That's pretty big. But we're inside of effectively a macro exhibit. I mean, can you just like really hit that home? This is the biggest piece of the museum.
It is. It's. I always say it's the crown jewel of the collection, and it's history housing history. The hangar itself is what differentiates our museum from any other museum anywhere else in the world. Nobody has anything like this. It's 7 acres under one roof, 1,000 feet long, 300 feet wide, and almost 200 feet tall. There's nothing else like it. When people drive down the road and see this structure, they obviously stop out of sheer curiosity. We tell them the history of the hangar during the Second World War, and then they also, as an added bonus, get to discover the magnificent history of all the aircraft that we also have in the museum's collection. So without the structure itself, we'd just be another aviation museum. So
this is the historic artifact.
It's a historic
houses
artifact. Yeah.
Artifacts.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like a historic house museum on a massive scale. So when the Navy left in the 1960s, the hangar was used by several different lumber mills in the area, and we actually became a museum in 1994. And so we've there's kind of been ups and downs when we've had private collectors move into the hangar and then move out of the hangar. So. And then the Port of Tillamook Bay took over the museum in January of 2015, and at that point, we've really worked diligently to build the aircraft collection into a world-class collection of aircraft and exhibits that all of us are very, very proud of.
I know we touched on it just a little bit, but you just recently, a few months ago, got another edition.
Right.
How did it feel to get something new like that, and what's that? Just give us an idea of the process of acquiring a new aircraft like that.
Sure. So that particular aircraft, the AV-8B Harrier 2 Plus, came in August of 2025, and it was an incredible addition to the aircraft collection because we had been working so hard to build the aircraft collection out here, and then to have that on loan from the United States Navy was absolutely incredible. Now, we had probably thousands of people come out here to watch that airplane come in. It actually flew up from California. So it was education through interaction. It was seeing our history up close and personal. And we had families come in from all over the area. We had families come in from out of state just to watch this airplane, the Harrier, come in. It's something that you don't see every day. So, and we're very, very proud to welcome it out here. So.